All and welcome to the Brit Garden. The Jerusalem artichokes, sunchokes, are huge. Some of them are over 8 feet tall, getting close to 9 feet. Thank you again to the Magnificent Garden multi-purpose plant food. This stuff has been working really well on my tester patch, and I'm definitely going to use it again in the future. Gonna head back. I've been busting up the logs, so I kind of have them spread out, and I'm trying to assembly line them as I can. Had a guy out here to help me weed, and it has made a huge difference. I'm thrilled with it. He's coming back later to finish and take out this rose bush, but this one is full bloom. My sprinkler is still going, so I'm gonna hide out of the way of that. The bush beans have finally gotten to where they're supposed to be, so I'm happy with the bush beans and the way they perform. That's what's in this front corner right here. The tomatoes are coming along. They are huge. And I've harvested plenty at this point. These San Marzanos especially, we've harvested a ton of those for cooking tomatoes, for paste tomatoes, and the cherry tomatoes are really ripening up. It's going to rain on my head in a second here. Been getting a lot of cucumbers. The wall of cucumbers is thick and lush, and we've definitely gotten our share out of that, so that's nice. The carrots have gotten so big they've flopped over, so I don't know if those are going to seed or not. I assume they will. The okra has been producing, and I've eaten a lot of okra. Ooh, there's another one I got to pick. But we've been cooking a lot of okra. The kale, it's starting to cool down a little bit, and the kale is doing a lot better now that it's cooling down. The acorn squash, a lot of it's ready to harvest. Ooh, cold. A lot of it's ready to harvest. The kohlrabi is market size. That's, perfectly fine. We've eaten pretty much everything in this side that is ready to go that's not tomatoes, kohlrabi, or kale, or cucumbers. But it's all big and lush and still producing. The strawberries are getting better. I've gone through and I've divided them out, so a lot of them are real tiny plants like this guy. But I got it in early enough to actually grow out for the season. So those are going to take root. Here's another one. And another. Ooh, cold again. I need to prune up the currants. It's raining on me. Because this getting big like this is just going to flop over into everything. So I need to prune that. I just expanded this bed and I buried the comfrey plants that I had along there, just tons of comfrey in this bed. I'm going to use that as a garlic bed. I'm not going to give it a cover crop. That's what I'm doing with the rest of the garden area over the winter. So that's going to have plants in it all winter, so I'm preparing it now in order to be able to do that. And that comfrey ought to break down quickly. Get out of the way. There's the water. The trees are all doing very nicely. I don't know what it was earlier in the year. I'm guessing it was just the heat on the weaker trees, but they've all greened back up. I also used a lot of that Magnificent Garden on them, and that I think made a big difference too. They're green and healthy, and this guy is, it was originally a stick in the ground to here. Now, look at it, and that's first year growth. A lot of cayenne peppers. Anybody want cayenne peppers, let me know. I've got a lot of them. I've been harvesting my jalapenos pretty consistently, but the plants are still full. That's what happens when you put in enough jalapenos. I got rid of the big buckets of rotting weeds and dumped it out here. I just kind of dumped it for the sake of dumping it because mosquitoes were breeding in there and it was unpleasant. But so you can see where I turned over and dumped big patches. The Egyptian walking onions are not likely to, I'm standing out of water, are not likely to bulb up this year, I don't think. But the bulbs are thick enough in there that they should overwinter if I just give them another layer of mulch on top through the winter. I think they'll be fine. I've been harvesting tons of zucchini. Doesn't look like there's any I've missed in there. I just harvested again today and got probably another 15 pounds. And then over here, this is kind of cool. This is what the rotted down weeds looks like. They were in 25-gallon Rubbermaid tubs. Each of them rotted down to about 5 inches of woody plant waste. So I'm sticking that out here to see if anything else is going to germinate out of it before I stick it in my compost pile. Sad about the asparagus. The guy who came through and weeded did a very thorough job and weeded out all of the asparagus plants. So asparagus is coming next year. These back jalapenos are still producing. Many peppers. Lots of peppers on these guys. And some of them are starting to get red. You know, I like them. They're a lot hotter when they're red. I like them. The horseradish is about ready to be harvested and replanted. The plants are huge and they're good. So I like that horseradish spot. I'm going to keep that long term. Compost pile's been growing. Yeah, just look at the size of these zucchini. I think next year I'm going to plant maybe 2 zucchini plants instead of 6 zucchini plants because we can't keep up with the zucchini. And this is 6 feet by 6 feet, probably. Like, that's just too much zucchini for us. Sage is nice and happy. The chamomile is good. I'm going to move the chamomile next year to the front garden, and that's going to be my medicinal and tea garden, like flowering. Yeah, anyway, you know what I'm saying. That's about what I have. Dude's filling up more bins, and I'm going to make another round of my rotted down weeds. Other than that, we're getting pretty close to the end of the season. I've put out a couple of radish seeds and a couple of red Russian kale that'll survive through the first frost of the year. Like, they can handle having frosts overnight just fine. So I'm hoping that those come up well enough for me to be able to harvest something through the fall. But I think we're getting pretty close to the end of the year once all this stuff finishes ripening up. And that has been year one of, or so far anyway, this has been year one of my food forest. And thank y'all for a while. Oh, one more. I staked up my blackberries. Finally staked up my blackberries. Finally staked up my raspberries. And we've been harvesting a lot of raspberries. Yeah. Decided this bed is going to be a blueberry bed. And I've already amended it to make it very acidic. So the blueberries will be happy. Now that does me. Take care, y'all.